So, we're talking about our Thursday night plans.
Yes.
So, what is it about Thursday night? Well, we've been doing these workshops to prepare for the solstice and the equinox, basically getting a seasonal change preparation done to try and help us getting more of a life that we want and harnessing that power of attraction. So, Yvette and I were talking about that, I don't even, a couple of years ago. And it was like, how are we gonna harness that law of attraction? Because we both believe in the law of attraction, which is this really simple idea: is what you put out there is what you get in, right? And the image that always comes to my mind is, I don't know if you watched The Secret, the movie The Secret. There's one
Yes.
image of a woman sitting in the park and she's by herself and she's single and she really wants a relationship. And then she's looking around at all of the couples that are having a picnic and they're playing frisbee and they're with their dog and whatever. And instead of sitting there thinking, poor me, I don't have a partner, she's loving and enjoying all of these couples and all that energy of the love that's around her. And that helps her to attract a partner that wants that same kind of relationship. And I keep that in mind as far as what the power or the law of attraction actually is. It's not me pining for something that I want while not doing anything about it and being resentful of people that have what I want because
Yes.
I don't have it. And then how do you apply that to menopause? Because if you don't mind my saying, you were put into what you'd call medical menopause because of medications, right?
Correct.
And you can't go the standard route of go to the doctor and just do the hormones because of the condition you have,
Correct.
right?
Yes, that is exactly it. Yeah.
So that leaves you kind of like, okay, some supplements might be okay, but a lot of them would potentially increase your hormone levels, and we can't have that for you.
Correct.
And that leaves you with, you know, nothing or the great world of energy medicine, right? And the law of
Correct.
attraction is one of those things. So that's where we started talking about what could we do to help ourselves. And then we just made it open to the members of CPMS. Not for free. It's not free. Yvette has, like, what do you have? Like three different Reiki certifications,
Yeah, I have Reiki Master, Karuna Reiki Master, and Medical Reiki Master. So
right? So
yeah,
your training was not free.
no,
I have
not
yoga,
even a little.
yoga. I have the yoga teacher training. I have a lifetime experience of helping people to meet their goals as a musician because I do that with my music lessons. I'm an educator for 25 years. It's 25 years this fall, and you know, I'm using all of the training that I have. Like I just recently, with the yoga training, it's not like you do it one and you're done. I did the yoga teacher training, I did the yoga therapy training, and I continue to do trainings. This year I did a yin yoga teacher training. So I'm always learning and adding new skills to my tool bag. And so yeah, the workshop's not free. But what I did is I made it part of your membership in the School of Peri Menopause. So all you have to do is join at bronze, silver, or gold, and then you'll automatically get the information because the way that the school works, I can't send everybody a message. I can only send people at the paid level a message. So on Thursday, before we do the event, everybody will get the link to join on Zoom. And then we don't record the sharing part because it's really personal sometimes, really. But we will record the guided relaxation I'm going to do at the end so that people who aren't able to attend live can still kind of take advantage of that
Yeah.
by listening to the recorded meditation and by writing their list. So let's just talk about the lists.
This
So
this time I did my list on my phone because I'm traveling.
traveling, yeah.
So
I did my ugly book again, but
there you go. I will rewrite it in my ugly book when I get home, but I do have it on my phone, uh as we'll talk about later, looking at it on your phone, because you're always looking at your phone, really brings it home to every part of it. So
Yeah, and I've got mine on it's my, what do they call that? The screensaver or whatever. So anytime I look at my phone, I'm seeing welcoming in summer and then the list of all of the things that I was welcoming in with my summer list. And I made a video by myself last week and I actually took out the list from summer and checked everything off, and everything this time, everything
Everything.
came true.
Okay.
And I think the first time we did it, I had maybe most of the things or half of the things actually happen. So this December, the one we do in December will be 2 years that we've been doing this.
Yes.
So how did you do on your summer list?
I did pretty good, but there was a lot of stuff happening in my life, so a lot of things were felt like they got put on the back burner because it was like, oh, this I have to deal with this today.
Mm,
And so some of the things I've re-entered into my list for this time, and then but I probably did about, I want to say about 60%. And then I have, like I said, I added the things that I couldn't work on or felt like couldn't work on to this time's list, and I added because there's life changes and
yeah.
you have to learn how to, or you have to not even learn, but figure out what you have to bring in right now and let go of right now. And sometimes, some things aren't as uh relevant at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point because previously, anything that hadn't come true for me, let's say, I did just transfer to the next list.
Yes.
And so I kind of like a work in progress, right? Like we've had
Right.
several people join us and only come for one
Right.
and probably be like, well, it didn't work.
Right.
But I really feel like part of the reason why it's working is because it's been, you know, every season there's a new list and it gets printed off and I put that on my fridge. So I see that every time I go to my fridge and I see it every time I look at my phone. And even though I'm not going through and reading it and thinking, how can I make that happen for myself? Like the big one was back pain. I was having horrible back pain all winter last winter.
Right.
And then, in the spring, it did start to resolve. And when I went on a trip in Ontario in July and I had no back pain. Like only
Yeah.
one day that I woke up with a little bit of stiffness. And it's kind of back now that I'm back home and doing work again. But that just tells me, right? I'm not paying attention to sitting up straight when I'm at my desk. I'm not being careful enough about moving around while I'm working and those kind of things. It just keeps it more like, I think the biggest thing about it is instead of being like, oh no, this terrible thing is happening, it moves you, the list moves you into like, okay, so I move pain free. So then I have to move. I have to keep it moving. That's the one thing that became really clear in the spring was like, oh, I'm in pain because I've been in pain and laying down.
Right.
I let it stop me moving instead
Right.
of figuring out gentle ways to keep moving. Um, so I did add one thing here yesterday, dwelling on feeling sad and powerless and the loss that I've had. Um,
Right.
and that one is like, I asked Martine, I was like, what's the opposite of feeling sad and powerless, right? Because you can't really jump from sad and powerless and feeling like a lot of loss to, feeling great and empowered.
Right.
But he was like, just stay grounded in what's happening right now. And I was like, oh yeah, even though that's not going to stop the sadness, it might help with the powerlessness because there's usually something you can do in that moment to help yourself.
Correct.
And a lot of the sadness that I had, my dad died.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sad about that.
Right.
I can't choose to not be wounded. But the reminder of the welcoming inside is that, to stay grounded in what's happening now. And then I'm really looking forward to, I always rip mine apart, rewrite the welcoming in, and burn the letting go.
Right.
It's very satisfying to crumple up all those things. So
Yeah. Last time I shredded mine because I couldn't get to a place where I could do a fire. So I very ceremoniously went zzz, and like soaked in all of that sound that it was making, crumpling up and chopping up my list. So it really was a lot more like it felt really good. I was surprised at how good it felt. It felt like burning it. Like I was going like, wow, that is so gone. There is
yeah,
no putting that back together.
yeah,
So it's done like ashes. So I'm going like, oh, okay, maybe I can do that when there's, you know, watch out for fire time. So it worked out. I mean, I carried it to the beach with me a couple of times, but the fire pits were off limits and stuff. So I'm going like,
yeah.
okay, well, we're done. So what am I going to do with this? Because I don't want to hold on to it.
That's
And
the thing, right? That's the whole
yeah,
point about, because people have said, well, if you're trying to bring in wonderful things, why do you start with the stuff that isn't working?
right,
And it's like, well, you have to start by acknowledging, I feel frustrated and unheard. That's my number one.
right,
And if you just move on to, well, I feel hurt in all my relationships, but you didn't actually acknowledge the fact that you're frustrated and
right,
feel unheard, how are you going to, that's the whole point, right, of welcoming in. You create the space
right,
for that to come in by letting go of that stuff.
right.
And the best way to let it go is to see it, acknowledge it, write it down clearly, burn it, shred it, flush it down the toilet. I don't know, like,
Yeah, whatever you're able to do, but kind of make it like a ceremony thing where you're going, I am letting this go. What like just doesn't matter if you're flushing it, man, put it on the paper that's flushable, put it in there, crumple it up, do whatever you need to do to get the rip it.
mm-hmm,
Because ripping can give you that satisfaction too of it's like glass breaking sometimes when you and it's just like, oh, I just want to break something. Well, rip up that piece of paper, and that gives you that letting go thing. Go, okay, now it's gone. I'm
now
done
it's
with
gone.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm done with that. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's sort of a ceremony in itself of doing that and then dispose of it and say, it's done. I'm gone. It's gone.
it's gone.
It's
Now
gone.
I've got all this room to welcome in feeling heard in my relationships and communicating clearly.
Right.
And then now that it's been 2 years, when I write up my list in good and it'll be really pretty, like I'll go to Canva and I'll pick a pretty template and I'll, make it all about fall, which is my favorite season anyway,
Right.
because my birthday is in fall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it just means like it's like you're starting with a clean slate. It's kind of like a blackboard. If the blackboard has a ton of stuff all over it, and then you're going to write on top of the blackboard, I feel heard and communicate clearly. How clear is that going to come across?
Right.
In order for it to be clear, you have to really get rid of everything that's on that blackboard
Right.
and then declare with clarity what you're welcoming in. And I think that's partially why it works in the circle of sharing with other people. Now, granted, one time nobody showed up and I did it by myself, and it still worked.
Right.
It was still effective, but it didn't feel nearly as satisfying as you know preparing it and sharing it with other people,
Right.
because I mean we're harnessing so many things, right? The space issue, the feng shui issue of making the space for the new thing to come in, letting go of the stuff that is no longer serving us, and clearing that energy, like in the Reiki sense of creating that good positive energy to come in. And then be really clear with our affirmations. We're using intentions and affirmations and being really clear. I am kind to my body when I'm having pain,
Right.
right? I can't choose to not have body pain. At this point, I'm 55 and I have some body pain, but I can choose how I'm going to respond to having that body pain. So we're like empowering ourselves. And then anytime a woman does that with other women, it empowers the other women also to start to move on in their own lives. And, I mean, how many times have we been talking out our list and have participants be like, oh, I got to write that one down.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I got that too.
Yes. And even us, like there's sometimes it resonates with you, you don't even know it until somebody says the words. You write it down in your own words how it relates to you, and you're going like, okay, now I can really, and you can say, I'm going to let go of toxic relationships with and put names if you want. You don't have to, but you can. And sometimes that's pretty liberating to actually say the name and say, I'm not going to allow that to happen in my life with that person anymore. You can do the umbrella and just say toxic people in general, and that's okay too. But, if there is a seriously toxic person in your life, and that's the person that's really drilling your I said, get rid of, say the name out loud, and you can say the name out loud in this group, it will go no further.
Yeah.
Nobody will care except for you, and that's the most important thing.
And you'll know, and you'll be really clear about that. Like that's one of the
Yeah.
things that happened for you. Remember when we first started, you had a very troubling relationship where you felt really judged and really that it was very harsh and unfair, and there was no communication, so you couldn't do what we would normally
Mm.
do, sit down and say, okay, this is how I feel.
This is how
Let's
you feel. Okay, let's make it better. No,
let's see what we can do. That was not going to happen.
no, no.
Not consensually. You would have rather, I'm sure, would have rather sat down and had it out kind of thing so you could come to
Right.
a better place.
Right.
But what do you do with that? Well, working through that, what was it, like two or three times that you had that kind of situation worded differently on your list,
Yes.
and then you had like a spontaneous
I
meeting?
had a spontaneous meeting with this person where one time it was face to face and one time it was at a distance, where I felt like I saw her through a window, for example, and I went like, oh, okay, now's my opportunity. And in my head, I just said what I needed to say. And then I walked away and I felt like a million times better. And then a few months later, I actually ran into this person face to face, and there was like no anger, no resentment, no anything. It was like the confirmation meeting of, oh, okay, do I really need to do this some more? No, it was done. And I was good. And I was going like, oh, this is what that feels like. And it's good and it's okay. And the big hurt, the big wound that was there was healing. And, these wounds take a long time to heal. They don't heal overnight. And it's one of those things, or even in a few months, sometimes it takes time. I recognized the wound was still there, but it wasn't this gaping hole that was sucking the life out of
That
me.
you were falling into, right?
Yes. And I was going, this has got to stop. And yeah, it took me a couple of times of wording it a little bit differently, a little bit differently. And then I'm going like, okay, this is the opportunity. And when I saw something and I went like, oh, this could be the opportunity I have, and this may be the only type of opportunity I have because of this person's boundaries with me. And for, like Jessica said, there was no really good reason for this person to be treating me this way, but I'll never know because she won't.
She won't talk to you.
You
So
will
then
not.
you
So
don't
I'm
know.
going like, I can only speculate, and that does nothing. Your brain will just go off forever. So I said, I just chose, I took that as an opportunity, and I was kind in that situation, because I respected her boundaries. I did give her a gift at the same time that she probably didn't even realize was a gift, but I did it. And then I walked away from the window and let what was going on the driveway happen. And then I was good. But it was like one of those aha moments with I so when I was like, oh, I'm going to do this, I recognized it. Recognizing something, stopping recognizing and taking advantage of a situation to help heal you is very important. And I think that's what my whole point of this story is that I recognize an opportunity to do some healing for me,
For
because
you.
I cannot do anything for this other person, but I could do it for me. I recognized that and I took advantage of it, and I didn't hurt or anybody, and I didn't break anybody else's boundaries. So that worked. Sometimes we get so in our head that we don't do that. And we're so stuck going like this isn't, or we mistake an opportunity where we break a boundary, and that's probably not a good thing. But it's one of those things, and I'm just going like, a lot of times on my list, I've repeated, kind words, get rid of negative words,
Negative
kind words,
self-talk. Yeah, yeah,
always,
yeah.
always. I said, because it's one of those things, I'm constantly, my brain wants me to say something else, and I have to stop and say the nice thing. And the nice thing doesn't mean you're giving in or giving up or sucking up or anything. It just means you're going to use nice words, and it's probably going to be a little startling to the other person because you're being kind.
Because they,
And
in their mind, now have whatever ideas about how horrible you are,
right. And
right?
all
And
of a
then
sudden you're being the super nice
they,
person, and they're going,
yeah, you
yeah,
just, you're basically, the way that I look at it is like a person has parked a bag of garbage at your feet and
hmm,
said, "This is all yours." You open it up and look at it quite
correct.
thoroughly and realize none of this is mine.
Right.
Or maybe some of it was misunderstood.
Correct.
But okay, the way that I see it is doing all of that work of like letting it go and allowing that person to be themselves and seeing them as a fully fledged person in their own dignity and respecting them and respecting their boundary is tying up the garbage bag and putting it at their feet. This is yours.
Yes.
Not in a mean way, not in a spiteful way, not in
No,
an abusive way, not in a crappy, you're not throwing it at them.
no,
It's just here, this is yours, and you're going to look at it, or you won't.
it
Either way,
doesn't
it has
matter.
nothing
It's
to do
not
with
on
you.
me anymore. Yes. It's not
And
on me
that,
anymore.
I think, allows your wounding to heal. Like last time I trust the judgments of my children, the decisions of my children. And of course, when I wrote it down, it was nowhere close to being true, not at all.
Mhm.
But then when I looked at it, I was like, yeah, I really have come to more of a place of like the situations that are happening right now that are outside of my control that I'm not enjoying, that I'm finding wounding. They do have some kind of reasoning behind it, probably a higher power plan that I don't really have any say in, how it's going. The only thing I really have a say over is, my children are grown adults. They're going to include me or not include me depending on how they feel and what they want, which still has nothing to do with me,
Correct.
right? One of them I think has actually looked beyond the mirror of what he thinks his mother is. And the other one I don't think has actually looked at what his mother is at all. I'm just the mother that didn't,
Mhm.
as every mother is, even because at
Yeah.
some point you're not there because you were literally in the doctor's office taking care of yourself that day,
Yeah. Or
whatever
the
it
other
is.
child. I
Or
mean,
yeah, if you have more than one, right?
yeah.
You can't do everything for everybody. So
Yeah.
the one thing that I wanted to mention to you is when I was sitting in Ontario with my niece and her husband, we were talking about work, and I'm self-employed. This is what I do. I help women in peri and postmenopause, and I teach music lessons, and I'm writing a book. And I said, I feel like I'm under a lot of pressure. I feel a lot of pressure because I have a variety of different things to do. Every day is a little bit different. I'm juggling a lot of responsibilities, and I'm taking care of a lot of people because the work that I do isn't just, having a conversation. I'm involved and invested in helping this person to meet their goals. Um, and then he said, but you know what, Jessica, like you're self-employed, right? Like you work for yourself. And I said, yeah. And he said, then why are you doing that to yourself? And it was almost like a light bulb moment
Yeah.
at that point, like, well, wait a second, you could just stop, is
Right.
what he said. You could just, you know, do the best you can every day, which is, I do that.
Right.
But don't expect anything more. So here's what I came up for the welcoming in side, because I said pressuring myself to do more than I can today, because that would be pressure, right?
Right.
Pressuring myself to get things done. And then on the other side, I have freedom to do as much as I feel able to do just for today.
Right.
Because that just for today, I think, has been on my welcoming in list a few times.
Yes. Yes.
That's a Reiki phrase, right?
Yep.
Just
It
for
is.
today.
It
Yeah.
really is one of the first things you learn. Yeah.
One of the
Just for
first things
today.
you learn, just for today. Because
Yep.
today, especially with if you're having menopause symptoms, which I'm incredibly lucky that I'm very stable right now, and a lot of the things that have been, not that they're gone, but the way that I'm relating to them or the way that I'm managing them is different.
Mhm.
And a lot of the symptoms that were troubling me really haven't been troubling me in the last little while, which is great. But I need to focus on just for today, like Dr. Sarah Gottfried, she's one of my favorite doctors. She would say to do a morning check-in, right? This is one of her books. I love this one.
Mhm.
Um, this would be good for you actually, probably, because it's got some really good basic recipes that are just good for supporting your natural hormones and you know, might be something to look
Yes.
into. Anyway, so she says you wake up in the morning. Let's say you had planned to run. Okay, I'm going to run Monday, Wednesday, Friday are my run days, and then my weight days are Tuesday, Thursday. Those are my weight days, and then on the weekend I'm going to go for a walk and a swim. So I've done something physically active every day. But she said if you wake up and you had a terrible sleep and you're having joint pain and maybe a hormone headache or whatever it is, that's not the day to go for a run.
Right.
You'll deplete yourself. So just for today, even though she doesn't use that phrase, she's saying in the morning you get up and you kind of evaluate. Maybe you could do 20 minutes on the rower. Maybe you could do a little bit of dance. Maybe it's just a nature walk day.
Maybe it's a stretch day
Maybe it's a
and
stretch.
just stretching and yeah,
Yeah.
because if you're moving your body, that's it doesn't matter what you're doing, it'll count. And you got to allow yourself to count that.
Yeah.
And
And not be
yeah,
rigid, right? It's a
yes,
running day and I failed because I didn't run. She said when she was doing that, pushing herself anyway to go and do that run, she would end up depleting herself so that by the end of the day, she felt just god awful,
right,
right? Whereas when she switched to being like, okay, how am I doing today? I didn't sleep well. Maybe today's a yoga day, or I'm going to do some gentle Pilates and some meditation. She found that her overall physical condition just kept getting better again,
right.
right? So that's letting go of
And
that
then you get through
perfectionism.
the day healthier. Like you said, by the end of the day, you don't feel depleted. You're feeling like, okay, you know, now I can get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow's a new day. I can do whatever I'm going to do tomorrow, and it's going to be fine. And you know, schedules, and I can use an example, in my house too. I mean, we have a list of for because I feed, family and I cook every night. I'm going like, okay, what does everybody want? We make our list of meals, suppers for the weekend. Sorry about the horn honking.
Yeah.
Uh we have a list of meals. I put a day on them. And I have somebody in my house that's a little bit ADHD and a little OCD. And when I'm making, meatloaf, and I said, well, I need to make this today because I need to use these vegetables instead. So I'll make this. And they come home and they go, well, I thought we were having meatloaf. And I'm going, well, I changed my mind. The flexibility with your schedule, whether it's dinner or exercise or work or what meetings or appointments you have, be flexible with yourself and be gentle and say, this is okay. And if somebody questions it, just say that's what needed to happen today and be okay with it. And I'm with yourself. You have to be okay with yourself. It doesn't matter if they're okay with it. They're getting fed. They're getting what they need. It doesn't matter. So, it's about you taking care of you at that point. But it's funny
Yeah.
that that kind of thing happens and you have all these different people in your life with all these other issues, and all of a sudden we're on the back burner. I said I was going to make meatloaf today. I must make meatloaf, otherwise I'll disappoint him. No, no,
No, and
it's okay.
I don't know if I told you this, Yvette, but when I was in Ontario, there was one cousin that was going to come and see us because I wasn't actually in the city of Toronto, and this cousin lives in the city. And the day before, he said, or the couple of days before, look, I can't get away from the city. I do have to spend the morning working, and I was in a rural area, so it's not close by. It would have taken a few hours for him to drive there and back. Is there any way you can come into the city? And my first response was, yes, sure. Like I'm not driving as long as my other cousin is okay to drive. Sure. So I checked with him and he said he was okay. And I said, all right, that's okay with me. But then, I have a chronic inflammation condition and I actually didn't get approved from my doctor to go to the city of Toronto. I got approved to fly into Toronto and then go to this rural community and hang out with a family. You know what I mean? I'm not
Hmm.
getting exposed to every flu, and the flu for me can cause chest pain
Issues.
and my
Yeah.
heart to stop at worst case scenario. So we don't want that. Nobody wants that. Um, so I was humming and hawing about it. And then this cousin who was going to drive said, "Oh, by the way, we don't have air conditioning." It had been plus 30 or more every day for the last week I was there. And so we'll have to drive in the truck, which means you're sitting between me and my girlfriend, who I had never met. She is delightful. She's wonderful. So it's not what it wouldn't have been a problem, but I didn't know that. I would never met her. Do I want to sit in between my cousin and a stranger in a truck that's too hot? Right? And what am I having trouble with? Temperature regulation, hot
That's
flushes.
right.
Do I want to be having a hot flush and stuck between, someone I don't know and my cousin that I don't get to see very often? And then go into the city. And the tipping point for me was, and we'll find somewhere to eat. We'll find somewhere to visit. And I was like, I literally said, that's not what's best for me. And a part of me was like, who am I?
Yeah.
I did say, it's because of the air conditioning and the hot flushes that, would be very uncomfortable for me, but worse for you guys watching me do it and not be
Right.
able to do anything because we're stuck in a moving vehicle.
Right.
And then not knowing where we're going to visit, right? That was a real sticking point for me, because that would have meant we would have ended up in the middle of a crowd of people
Right.
in downtown Toronto.
Right. And I've been there, so it does get a little crazy.
I grew up there. I know what it
Yeah.
is. I
Yeah.
don't, there's a reason why I didn't move back.
Hmm.
But I'm ching. Calgary has the right amount of people. Like, there are people everywhere,
Yes.
but not to the point where it's all elbows in your ribs.
Right. Right.
So anyway, that was just, I feel like that's partially something that has come out of doing these workshops, where I've just gotten more and more and more clear. Now, I did
Yes.
have more of a back and forth with my cousin, saying, "I'm sorry that you couldn't come. I understand about work obligations. You've got a lot going on. And, I love you anyway."
Right. And
And he,
maybe next time.
yeah, he understood.
Yeah.
Do what's best for you. Absolutely do what's best for you. Everybody else is going to do what's best for them.
Yeah. And I had we were my husband and I are on a road trip, and, we went to visit Jessica in Calgary, but I have a friend that lives in Red Deer on our way to Edmonton. And I called her and I said, "Hey, do you want to meet?" And she goes, "Well, I have a horrible headache. Maybe we can meet on the way back." Well, we never went that way on the way back. So I had to call and say, "That's not going to work for me to do it on the way back." And I'm going, it's a thing that happens. And she was okay with it. She was like, "Okay, well, we'll try and meet up again next time you come up this way." And I'm going, "Okay, works for me." But I tried. She wasn't feeling well. I wasn't going to say, "Well, it's your fault we couldn't get together and it's blah, blah, blah." No, you're not feeling well. I don't want to see you. It's not going to be fun. It's not,
No,
you have a migraine. Oh my gosh, squirrel. And
that's emotional maturity, right? That's the emotional
exactly,
maturity.
exactly. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't get to in life, not even by our age. They sit there and it's still that entitlement, especially with the people who are younger than us. And they go, "Oh, but you should have done this because this was for me." And I'm going like, "Yeah, well, it didn't work out for me, so I have to do what's good for me." And that sometimes is a hard thing to hear from somebody, that you weren't the most important, and they get, defensive about it. "Well, what do
Well,
you
and
mean?"
it can feel hurtful. And I think for us anyway, you and me, knowing us, we're both of that similar kind of personality where if I can do it for you, I will.
Yes, we're givers.
Right?
That's what we
So
do.
we've
Yeah.
been doing that. And now all of a sudden, in the last 5 years, for me, I'm 55 this year, I can't do it. Because if I do that for you, I can't take care of myself, and I have to take care of myself first. Otherwise, I can't keep working and doing all of the other things that I have to do for myself. So if it's
Right.
something that you can do, you need to do it for yourself. That's a huge adjustment for the people around us, though.
It is. And I guess that was my point. The people who are around us aren't used to us saying that because
Yeah.
we're yes people. Yes, I'll do that for you. Yes, I'll get that done. Yes, yes, yes. And then all of a sudden you break and you go, well, shoot, and now you feel like a failure because you didn't get all this done. So it all comes full circle again, and you're going like, You're not a failure. You have too much going on. And what we have to learn to say is to pick and choose what we
Yeah.
want. It's not about saying no, it's about picking and choosing what's, been the most beneficial, not only for us, but for the people around us. And then they have to learn how to appreciate that we're doing our best. And a
Yeah.
lot of times that's hard. When I have somebody like again, back to my household, and this person comes home and go, "What's for dinner?" And I say it's not what was on the menu, but it's there. You got dinner. I just go like, "Hey, you get dinner." I wouldn't complain. You could not have dinner. You could go someplace else and have dinner. I don't care. I'm okay with it, but this is what's for dinner. And starts teaching gratitude on their side where they're going, I'm grateful that you spent the time to do this. Because otherwise, it's just taken for granted. And it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm catering to everybody else's needs.
Yeah.
And when I get overwhelmed with that, I say, nope, I'm done. And that's usually a really good time for me to go to the beach and have a beach day.
Yeah.
What I have on my screensaver is the beach,
The beach.
the
Nice.
beach, and I do that and I look at that and that makes me feel good. But I will go to the beach because that makes me feel, and where I live, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I will do that, and that's I meditate. I talk to the dolphins in the ocean and Gaia, and we have a good time. I have a friend with me usually, and we go for a walk, get really super grounded, and then I can go and tackle the world again. But that I need to do. And
Yeah.
that's something I recognize. And I recognized the difference in who I am
When you
from when
do
I
it.
get to the beach until when I'm leaving. And I
Yeah.
feel like a completely different person. You just need to take that hour, carve it out,
Yeah. Carve it out.
and give it
So
to yourself.
I'm curious, like this time I feel like my list is really short and I thought I would have more and more to add to it, but I haven't. I've got one, two, three, four things.
I have seven.
Yeah, usually I'd have more like
I usually have four. This time I have seven.
so we'll see if I because what I do is I just keep my little journal around and then when I find myself thinking, oh that blah 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 blah, what a problem this is, and I hate that this is happening again, I'll ask myself like, is this a recurring problem? Does it happen all the time? Is it something that I want to get rid of? And then I'll just write it down. Last time I had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine things.
Right.
So and they all came true.
Right. And this time, for me, one of the things on my list is my husband was diagnosed with cancer. Now it's low stage and he should be able to get surgery and everything should be fine. But there are issues that come. We've never been in a position where he's the one that's got a
Sick.
diagnosis and
Yeah.
I am the healthy one. So I'm going, well, this is a different role. So what I'm letting go of is my husband's health issues. And what I'm bringing in is ease of dealing with my husband's health,
Yeah.
so that whatever comes, I have an easier time with it. I stop and think about it. What's the best thing to do for helping him? What's the best thing to keep me in a position
So
that
you
I'm
can stay
healthy?
married.
Yes, so that I'm healthy and happy too, because you can't caregive unless you're in that
Hmm.
position. And he doesn't know what he's going to need because he's never been in that position.
No.
And I don't know what he's going to need because he's never really been in that position. So it's one of those things where we're sitting there going like, what do we do? And so it's the ease of going into what he needs and being able to identify it on both sides and be able to say, this is what I need, and then be able to say, okay, this is what you got. And I just encourage him to communicate with me what he needs because I don't know. I can't tell when he's sitting there brooding about life, the universe, and everything. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
like, what
You
the
don't
heck's
know.
going on? I don't
Got to
know.
tell me. So
talk to
what do you
me.
think of how is it going to work for you for doing the workshop on Thursday if you're traveling? Are you going to be staying put where you're at right now?
Yeah, we'll still be here on Thursday. I think either Friday night or Friday late afternoon or Saturday morning we'll be leaving here. So
Okay. So we can do it probably right where you're at.
yes, right here, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Like right here, right in this room.
you're on Pacific time, so I changed it to 6 p.m. So that'll be 5 p.m. for you.
Okay.
I wanted to try and make it a little bit earlier for the people in the East.
Okay.
Because when I said it at 6 o'clock, that's 8 o'clock Ontario. That's like 9:30. That's just too late for most of us who have families and everything, right? And it's
Right,
a
right.
weeknight, so. All right, so I'm going to stop the live stream here, and then I want to talk to you for a minute. So just
Hang
don't
on.
go anywhere. We'll see if we can actually just do that. I've never been able to do it. Usually, I have to hang up.
Okay.
But Thursday night, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, we're going to get our lists all jazzed up and keep welcoming in some beautiful things for fall.
Hmm.
Thanks.
Absolutely.